With Capcom riding a high wave of Resident Evil's resurgence and fans eagerly awaiting the full-fledged remake of Resident Evil 4, it's the perfect time to dive into the system-selling Oculus core of their all-time classic. I'm Chris from Robot Republic, and today we're going to be taking a look at Resident Evil 4 on Oculus Quest. If you're new to VR, this is the perfect introductory title to show you just how far this technology has come. Those familiar with the Resident Evil franchise will likely know the narrative of Resident Evil 4 well, but for just a short recap, you'll play the disembodied hands of RPD officer turned government agent Leon S. Kennedy. He's come a long way from his rookie roots of Resident Evil 2. Being sent into a remote Spanish village, Leon is tasked with rescuing the president's daughter, Ashley Graham. From here you'll experience a narrative that is true Resident Evil fashion isn't as simple as it seems. What starts in a remote village will take players to cult-occupied castles and even military compounds. Those who are used to the more serious tone of the recent Resident Evil resurgence, such as Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake, might feel a little lost given the game's at times campy and schlocky tone, though what will be familiar is the horrific monsters and body horror that the game throws at you. Even long-time fans might be put off by the alterations in dialogue and some cut exchanges that show off Leon's flirty personality, but the additions to gameplay easily make up for the missing content. The biggest omission, and the one that I struggle with the most, is the lack of Ada's special mission as well as the Separate Ways campaign that unlocks at the end of the game. Moving over to the gameplay, the main thing that sells this on the Quest for me is what Armature Studios have managed to do by rebuilding this game's combat to perfectly suit a VR control scheme. It's pure magic. Leon Kennedy feels more like John Wick with the flexibility and fluidity of the combat, and it's only limited by your own skills. It allows you to do things like make use of environments by slowly peeking around corners, taking cover and blind firing, or stunning an enemy with a gunshot to the face or leg and then slashing them with a knife in your other hand. You could even fully dual wield weapons, which at times feels incredibly badass. You can also do things like quickly pull up a shotgun for a last minute shot to clear a cluster of enemies, or if you're feeling particularly cruel, throw a grenade down to a group of enemies below. And unlike the original game, you'll spend a lot less time in the game's inventory thanks to you having multiple spots on your body you quickly grab weapons and your knife. VR's new dimensions really helps out certain horror elements of the game too, like the Dar-Largo boss fight is now incredibly frightening because you're being face to face with an aquatic abomination, and by the end you feel like Chief Brody at the end of Jaws as you take the beast down.
Smile, you son of a...
This section is a wonderful highlight of how the change in perspective and interactability can drastically improve this already fantastic game. And things like adding a harpoon gun and changing the mechanics up really add to it as well. And additionally, the game offers multiple control schemes allowing for more simplified control, options like a weapon wheel instead of drawing from various parts of your body, or even simplified reloads if you don't want to manually change magazines. The new dimension that VR offers has drastically improved and revitalized the original's gameplay so much that even veterans will be on their toes from the various changes and tweaks, all of which are for the better. Once you've completed the campaign, you can try your hand at the post-launch DLC, the Mercenaries mode, which brings back the classic mode from the original game, and it's even more enjoyable on VR. And on top of this, there's new levels that have never been seen before, in which you are offered unique loadouts and scenarios, and it allows you to unlock new outfits, weapons, and game modifiers, and there's potentially hours of additional fun content here. Despite Resident Evil 4 being an almost 20-year-old game at this point, it's still a really good looking game at time, and the atmosphere is timeless. The initial spooky village you'll be in is still a truly chilling location. Armature Studios have moved the game over to the Unreal 4 engine, and it's drastically improved many of the game's assets like weapons and items, with them looking great and you can get them right up in your face and see a lot of details that you couldn't before. The guns especially look and feel great. But the visuals do sit in a bit of a weird spot where many of the enemies and assets you'll see in the environment, they can look a little dated at times, especially the enemy character models. But the game's weapons and interactive items just look fantastic, and the Quest 2 never struggles with this at all. Much of the game's original audio design still really shines here, and when you're seeing things like the regenerators, it can be incredibly tense and frightening when you hear that iconic noise and they're right in front of you. It's bound to scare even the most hardened of Resident Evil players. Weapons still sound great and incredibly punchy, and there's a certain new level of satisfaction to the chunky headshots when they're right in front of you. Though as far as I can turn, there's little new in the way of sound effects and music. And this is of course no big issue, as it is just a port of the original game. It's probably beginning to sound like a broken record at this point, but Resident Evil 4 is a fantastic action horror experience, and it's the best it's ever been in VR. And whilst I'd love to see the additional Ada campaign and challenge missions added into the game in a new patch, the new Mercenaries content as well as the overhauled gameplay is a worthy trade-off if we don't get anything more from this. And for me, this is the definitive way to play Resident Evil 4. The added flexibility of VR allows me to explore this world in a new way, and I can't wait to run through it again on the daunting professional difficulty. And if you have a Quest or are thinking about getting one, this is a must play, and it's the perfect thing to tide you over until the remake's release. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more VR content, as well as reviews and other fun videos. And if you want to check out more from Robot Republic, follow the link to our website in the description, where we have a ton of great written content and merch. I'm Chris from Robot Republic, and I hope to see you again in the next video.